Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Belton here. We're going to be doing a nice quick video and a little test for science here. What we're going to be testing today is manually synthesizing rings specifically using the harvest synthesis. The reason for doing this is laid out mathematically as well on the side here. But the major push to want to test this, I've been rolling quite a few synthesis rings, specifically power charge ones. And right now, in particular in the league, it's very difficult to get vivid vultures as well to get Kraychik chimeras. In fact, it's nearly impossible. Not only that, but they also have an exorbitantly high cost. It's almost, last time I checked, about 5 divines per Kraychik chimera and about 4.5 to 5 divines per vivid vulture. But aside from the cost, it's really just very difficult to get them. And so recognizing that and realizing that, you can manually synthesize things, the question was then posed to myself. I was just thinking, why don't we test what it's like to manually synthesize 100 rings at once so that we can see, get some rough idea for, the average amount of implicits as well to see if, the weightings are any kind of different. And there are some other benefits that I've laid out here on the top right corner. So manually synthesizing rings allows for drop-only mods. What do I mean by that? So for example, here we've got Elrayon's minus mana. We've got Despair on Hit, which is a Delve mod. We've also got Temple mods like this, Quetzalcoatl's. Now, obviously, if you're just buying a ring and Vivid Vulturing it with the Synthesis reroll, you're not going to be able to get those mods on there because they are drop specific. It allows us to start off with that base item that has those, and then manually synthesize it, giving us access to a pool of modifiers that are otherwise unavailable. As I mentioned earlier, it's about half the price of Vivid Vultures to manually synthesize. So for the ones I purchased, it was 2.59 divines for the cost of the ring, which is including, like Frostbite on hit, Delve on hit, whatever. The one Sacred Life Force that's required, and the 5,000 Vivid Life Force. So it's roughly one half the cost. It also allows you to add not just one. When you're using a Vivid Vulture, it rerolls one synthesis modifier. However, when you manually synthesize with Harvest, it can add 1, 2, or 3 mods. So at the very worst, you're getting the same amount of value. However, on the higher end, you can add actually 3 times as much, again, for half the cost. Again, one of the biggest reasons to potentially do this is that, at this stage at least, is that it's not bottlenecked by beasts. Again, it's very difficult to get access to those, whereas it is incredibly easy to get access to the harvest materials. Purchasing all of these only took a matter of minutes. As well, if you have a base that you specifically want, I think the best one I have here is probably this minus 10 Elrayon that also has T1 cast speed. It does allow you to imprint, so I could imprint this, synthesize it, and if it only rolled 1 implicit, I could then imprint it back to how it is now, and then just repeat that process until I get 3 mods or a mod I want. That is actually the process by which I made this chest here, for example. On top of that, the reason we chose rings is just because rings have such a large pool of modifiers that are strong. So for my discharge rings, for example, there's Frenzy Charge, Endurance Charge, Power Charge, Spell Damage per Power Charge, Cold Damage per Frenzy, 20 crit multi, Dex percent, Int percent, Strength percent, Onslaught on hit, Arcane Surge on hit, Ellie Weakness on hit. I didn't put all the curses here, but there's also Vulnerability, Flammability, Conductivity, and I think that might be it, actually. Intimidate on hit, Determination Aura Effect, Discipline Aura Effect, Grace Aura Effect, 8% life regen, Evasion per Frenzy Charge, life gain on hit per attacks. There's a ton of really, really strong implicits. So it is quite rare to hit a good one. If you're Vivid Vulturing, you definitely will be familiar with this. However, with this pool this size, and given the fact that I actually did do a few of them before just to test. You can see we're actually doing 87. It will be over 100 in total, which we can obviously collect the data on. We'll just jump into it here and see how this goes. And, at the end, we'll, draw any conclusions and sort of amalgamate that data. And let me just get rid of that text box there. All right, so let's get started. 3 mods, first time. Two mods. Look at that. Double curse on hit. Ooh, 8% life. That's a great one. Onslaught. Holy shit, guys. Onslaught on hit. Onslaught on hit with ES and ES regen. Holy cow. Alright, I think we might be onto something, boys. Sorry, I won't make any more sales after this one. Ooh, look at that. Another triple. Another double. Another double with life gain on hit. Really good mod. That was tier 2 though. Another double. Nice, another triple. Ooh, nice, double. I like it when, for example, on an amethyst, you do the synth implicit, and it gives you chaos res, but instead of, 25 or 30 or whatever it is normally, it gives you like a 8. Should we had that happen a couple times there? Nice, 2 mods. 2 mods. So at the end here, obviously we're hoping for something sweet in terms of actual implicits. But for data collection, what'll be important to note will be how many, like what the average amount of implicits are. So we'll add up the total amount of rings and then the total amount of implicits, divide by each other, and you can get a rough estimate. Obviously, 100 is not an extremely large sample size, but it's big enough to draw some conclusions. There's T1 life gain on hit. It's a nice one. Oh, another curse on hit. 2% experience gain. Wow, that's an interesting one. 2% experience gain on a -10 El Rayon. Leveling ring boy. Oh, there's another triple. Now, similar to rolling Vivid Vultures, these are likely to be as a, as someone who's rolled obviously, dozens and dozens of mirrors worth of Vivid Vultures. They tend to be not necessarily zero sum, but you're not going to make it out in like the aggregate or like, the average roll. You're generally going to have like the big hits that pay for, a huge amount of them thereafter, right? So hitting something like a power charge or a frenzy charge would obviously, we hit onslaught, which is a very good one. Those are going to pay for, life gain on hit with attacks. Very nice. And another double. All right. I think that was, it is. Okay. So now we can go through. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 80. So we did 87 there. And now we'll add up quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 117. So we have 117. .34 mods per we averaged. As well, some things to point out. We hit 1, I believe it was 2 curse on hits. Yep, 2 curse on hits and onslaught. Those are the kind of bigger ones. And now we should check on how many 3 mods we got, just to get a rough estimate. 1. Now, obviously, to find out the actual number on this, it would take a great deal larger sample size, but okay, so we got 5 out of 87. And now that have 2. 20. So, all right. So there's the data, guys. Now, obviously, the outcomes are going to change drastically. Something like hitting a power charge or a frenzy charge, which are the two most expensive synths on a ring specifically. For some context, I've rolled roughly 12 to 13,000 vultures on rings. I've never hit a power charge. I've hit a frenzy charge once, and I've hit an endurance charge once. And the endurance charge was actually from manually synthesizing like this. But actually rolling a vulture, I've hit a charge one time and it was a frenzy. Now, it should be said too, in terms of disadvantages with this, obviously, it's far more, you're going to end up with a lot of stuff that is basically useless. However, it is worth noting, though, that the cost of the life force, if you were to do this earlier on in the league, for example, you could get, 6 to 7,000 to 1 on the Vivid Life Force, and the Sacred Life Force for like 40 or 50 chaos for a large portion of the league. So you could have actually done this for, less than a divine each time. Now, obviously, the reason that we actually were drawn to do it now was because of the very, very high cost associated with the Vivid Vultures, as well as the lack of access. However, similar to the Vivid Vultures, it's going to be one of those cases where you're going to have like those rather large hits. In this case, we did get rather lucky, I would say, by hitting Onslaught, which is one of the better ones. It does have somewhat of a diminished value these days. However, in particular, getting that to roll with the Quetzalcoatl's is pretty solid for sure. But yeah, I mean, if you were to roll, maybe we'll try some more of these. It's basically only limited by the amount of currency that you have, because it is very easy to get. If you take a look here, there's almost, well, one guy's got 740 of them, but there's a large availability of those, and of course the Vivid Life Force is abundant as well. If you compare that to Vivid Vultures or Creature Chimerals, it would be, obviously about 50 times easier. There are a lot of good mods that you can get on these. You don't necessarily have to do this just on rings, of course. Other good targets for synthesizing. Shields are quite good. Helmets are pretty good. And weapons, of course, too. Those would be your major slots, as well. Amulets to a certain extent as well. But anyways, this was just kind of a rough test, and maybe something to take a look at next league if you're looking for synthesis items, or if Vivid Vultures are changed in some kind of way. I thought it'd be kind of an interesting thing to test out. And, in terms of our total cost here, it would have been approximately, we would have been able to afford probably 25 Vivid Vultures, and about 15 to 20 Creature Chimerals for the same cost that we had for all of these. So certainly a little bit more cost efficient. The one downside, of course, being that, I would never, when I roll with Vivid Vultures, I of course buy a power charge ring that has 3 implicits, and then I start rolling for the second mod. Of course, you're not going to have that same level of control here. For example, having Onslaught with only 2 mods as opposed to being on a 3 mod does severely hurt its value, but there generally is going to be a huge gap between them, and for functional reasons, for most people that want access to synthesis, I believe this is probably a good route to go. Alright guys, anyways, I hope this was interesting, and if you do give it a try, let me know how it goes. Happy hunting, boys.